Hello! Today we're going to add flowers to the painting that we made last week. Yours will look different. Yours will have different variations of green and blue on it. I am using a paper that is just colored plain blue so it's less distracting. On the back, you should see your name. Before we paint, we're going to draw on the front. You'll be using a pencil. So that you can see my lines, I'm going to use a marker. The shape that we want to draw is kind of like a wide letter U, and I'm going to draw 3 of those for my 3 flowers. So I might start about right here, and then add one here, and add one here. You can decide where you want yours to go. I think it's kind of nice if they're sort of in like a triangle shape, or spread out a little bit. So I'm going to make a wide letter U, another wide letter U, and my last wide letter U. Your lines will be in pencil, so they'll be thinner and a little bit more disguised than my lines. And then you'll use your pencil and add a very small dot at the bottom of each of these wide letter U's. It also kind of looks like a happy face, but we're putting a dot at the bottom. This will help us know where to paint our flowers. To get ready to paint, if I have long sleeves on, I want to push my sleeves up so they're out of the way. I want to make sure my paper is on some kind of a placemat, and I want to remember to use my brush carefully. I'm going to hold the brush like I would hold a pencil. So I've got my hand holding onto the right part of the brush, and then I'm ready to use it in a carefully controlled motion. When we're using paint, we want to make sure our paint goes only on the paper, and we just want to use the very tip of our brush. Today we need less paint than you might think. For painting our flowers, I'm going to very carefully dip the brush into the paint. I'm just going to touch the tip of the brush, just a little bit of paint. And then I'm going to put the tip of the brush on that dot and make a line. That'll be a petal for our flower. Then I'm going to do that over again. I'm going to gently just touch the tip of the paintbrush and make another petal. By lifting up my brush at the end, I can get that petal-like shape, and it'll start to look like a water lily. So I'm going to add a few more petals. You'll notice I don't need to dip my brush every time. That's already looking very much like a flower. Now, if you want, we could use a little bit of a yellow paint or a pink paint to add just a little bit of color to the flower. Since you'll be sharing the paint with people at your table, we want to continue to move slowly and take turns. Today, we aren't going to need any water for our brush because we're just using teeny tiny bits of paint. So I'm going to touch the yellow super lightly, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of the yellow color to the white that's already there. If I'm looking at it and I think it's really bright, I could even take my brush, gently touch the white again, and add just a little bit more. But I don't want to add too many strokes because I want it to still look like a flower. If I keep going again and again and again, it won't look like petals on the top anymore. So I think that this is looking pretty good, and I should stop pretty soon. When I'm ready, I can start painting the next flower. I'm going to use the same brush and just the smallest bit of paint. I'm being slow and careful, and I'm still holding the paintbrush like a pencil. You'll notice I'm kind of trying to hide the lines that I made before that are our guidelines, and they can help us make it look like a flower. If I want, I can use a little bit of color. This time I got a tiny bit of pink, and it's okay if we still see a little bit of yellow there. All these colors are going to look really pretty. I'm adding the pink just to the middle, so I'm not going quite as far with the pink. I think that looks really pretty. Now it's time to paint my last flower. One of the tricks of making a beautiful artwork is knowing when to stop. Sometimes if we keep painting and painting, it might end up looking kind of muddy. So I want to make sure I don't add too many brush strokes. I want to add just the right amount, and when I'm done, I can leave my brush gently on the placemat and listen for directions for cleanup.